Okay, on this how-to, we're going to be changing the intake manifold gasket on a 97 2.4 Nissan Altima, and the gasket intake manifold gasket consists of two of them. Top part on the intake here, and there's another one below there. There's two separate gaskets that we're going to take out. And while you're at it, to save you some trouble, you should replace the O-rings on the fuel injectors, because those can cause a leak also. We're having a very bad idle on this car and horrible hesitation, and we did a lot of electronic work on it, couldn't find the problem or reason why it was hesitating. Finally was able to do just a little trick, spraying some fluid here on this area, and that took away the miss. So determined after a little bit more testing that that is our issue, and apparently that's a problem with these cars. So to save video time, I'm going to do the disassembly. All of the stuff that's not connected to the intake, throttle cables, vacuum hoses, stuff like that. I'm gonna start taking all this apart. I'll show a little bit of the teardown, but I'll try and show as much and save some video time. So this is how-to, is not too long, but it doesn't appear that bad. I've never done this before, but done a lot harder work on Audis and Volvos and stuff like that. So we'll try and do step by step and make it easy for everybody. Everything ready, your tools, and you're about to tackle the job. First thing you do, people, just disconnect your battery. Be on the safe side, negative side, positive side, hell, it doesn't matter. I disconnected the linkage here, and one thing you may want to do first to remove the fuel injectors and the O-rings, take these two bolts out, Phillips, with a Phillips screwdriver, before you lift the fuel rail out, so it'd be too hard to apply pressure and turn the screws. So I'm going to take these out right now first before I release the fuel rail. There's two bolts holding the fuel rail right here and right here, and they look like 12 millimeter. They sure are. So let me take out the 8 screws on the fuel injectors. And another little tip, when you're taking these out, if you hit your screwdriver with a hammer lightly, apply some pressure, that usually pops them out, because those have been in there for who knows how many years. The heat and everything has seized them up. But if you hit your screwdriver top with the hammer just slightly, and that usually frees them up. I've got all the fuel injectors out, and the caps and the 2 screws. Those are pressure caps that allow the fuel injector to sit down tight. But I took those out, took the fuel injector connectors out, and fuel pressure regulator, disconnected that, disconnected my fuel line intake coming in here, and just be careful, because you're going to have some high pressure here for a couple seconds. Just put a rag or something over it and let it seep out. I am going to pull out these two 12 volt or 12 millimeter bolts right now, and pop out the fuel rail. Okay, I've got the fuel rail out. There you can see the injectors, and you need to be careful with this spacer. This sits right there, and you've got one I took the other one, it's on my parts bin, but there's another one goes right there. That allows the fuel rail to sit flat. Sits flat on the intake manifold, and allows your fuel injectors to seat properly inside. Let me pull one of these out, inside the seals here, and it provides a flat seating, which also does not allow any leaks, because you can have leaks there too. So save both of these and put them aside in your parts bin. And don't lose them. Don't put anything else in there or washer or anything, because they're cut to a certain size and it allows for a nice seatment. Let me be right back. Alright, we're going to remove the intake right now, and you've got 13-inch bolts. You can see one right there, one right there. So you got 4 on top, 4 on bottom. The ones on top are easy to get to. The ones on bottom, you can see them, but you're going to have to go in from under the intake with an elbow and a small extension, and just be patient, and they'll come out. Also disconnect the, I don't know what the hell this is called, but it's where the throttle cables and the cruise control cable latch onto. You have to take this out also, because this is attached to the head and part to the intake, so separate that. Put your bolts aside, and let's see, we'll go from there. Alright, we got this linkage out, and there's those three holes there. There's 3 10mm bolts that are holding things in place, and I usually just put things back where they go, the screws, so you don't they're right there, so you don't lose them. They go back in their place. That way less bolts to worry where the hell they go. And removing that linkage also gives you access to this nut and the bolt below it, so you can remove the intake a lot easier. Let me get to that part. Alright, here's a little trick I want to show you guys. That bolt down there is the center one between cylinders 2 and 3. Hard to get to. It's a 12mm bolt, but sticking your crescent, your 12mm wrench here, you could only turn it just a slight bit because the intake on left and right side is in your way. So here's a little trick, and don't tell anybody else about it, alright? But if you get a bungee cord. See, I just got it, and I apologize for the darkness, but I'm going to stop right now because this is just getting too dark. But if you put a bungee cord in there under the bolt there, and loosen it with your wrench, and it comes loose real easy. But if you loosen it with your wrench, let me see if I could hold this and do this at the same time. Okay. Okay, let's see. Give me a second. I'm trying to position the camera right there. Okay. See, now if you pull the bungee cord up or down, see that? It turns. And you don't have to fucking hassle or stick your hand down there, or man, because it is hard to get in there. But just turn it in the opposite way. You're trying to take it. See how easy that turns? Look at that. I'm going to put a patent on this fucking tool. Mexican engineering at its finest again. Alright, so let me turn this more. Just drop it down till the band goes under the bolt. You raise up the right hand and pull it down again. See that? Look at that. Looks like a sprocket just turning on a bicycle chain. But very simple trick. Look at that. Lower it, lift up the right side, and then pull on the left to lower the right side. See that? And it doesn't take much to get it out of its out of the hole. Look at that. Alright, so there's a little trick for everybody. But it'll save you a lot of time, because it's hard to get the bolt out. Put a socket and an extension from behind the down below here of the EGR valve. You can't, there's no access. So I found this to work pretty damn good. Alright, let me turn this off and get this bolt out of the way. Okay, I've got the you see the bolts out right there, okay? And let me pull it out. Give me a second. This is another great tool to have. See this magnet? Go invest in one. Awesome. Look, there's my bolt. Now you don't have to lose it, waste more time. We'll stick it here in my bowl bin. But and you get your, here's the bungee cord. Okay, see that? And that's what you wrap around the bolt to allow you to twist it up and down. These goddamn Japanese, they build these fucking cars, and I don't know how they expect you to get your damn hands in there. It's probably a special tool somewhere, but oh well. Alright, I'm calling it quits. It's getting too dark. I'm going inside, and I'm going to watch WWE. I took out the temperature sending unit with a, everything's metric, but 3/4 inch deep socket lines right up, right here. You take it out, it's you got the 8mm bolts that are a lot easier to access there. You might as well put a new temperature sending unit while you're at it. You're already torn it apart. And remember, under here also, I'll show you later, the PCV valve is here. They're very inexpensive, and heck, go ahead and replace that new while you have everything torn apart. Once the intake is free, you'll have easy access to it. There's a bracket. I don't know if you could see it. It's this bracket right. Where are you, camera? Right there. That one right there. Take it out. It's going to be in your way to access a couple of bolts underneath the intake, and if you position your 8mm with an extension on it, it's a 10mm, I'm sorry, it's 10mm from this side. While you're turning, put your trusty little handy extendable magnet to catch the screw, and you don't drop it. Save you some headaches. These are the two bolts, and this is the bracket. Has a wiring harness on it and a bracket that sits above the idle control valve. Why the fuck they have them tied in like that, who knows, but take them, you got to take them loose because they're going to be in your way, and I'm going to put these back right in the same spot. I told you guys earlier that this bolt down here at the bottom of the intake was 12, but it's not. It's a 10. I think I told you it was 10, but it is a 12. And if you get your 1/4 inch extensions with a 12-inch socket, you can jiggle it out. These bolts here, 12mm, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus this nut, and this long bolt, which goes right there, are these bolts here. They line up back here, back of the intake. You have to move this assembly. The EGR, I don't think has to come out. I haven't tried that yet, but they're down here, pretty easy access. Just have to move a couple things around, a couple hoses, these brackets. Keep them close by or stick them back in the hose where they belong, so you can identify everything a lot easier during reinstall. And you have to disconnect these two, this whole assembly actually, from the fuel lines over here, the part of the emission here. Take those out. Everything that's basically hooked up to the intake, fuel rail, EGR valve, the linkage, throttle cable assembly, everything. Take everything out of the back, and you will find, let me get, you will find this bolt, or that's a nut, a bolt. There's another one back right here. There's another one in here, and then this long one that is hidden by all this crap, and that's that one. It's a good 4-inch bolt. Here, take all that out, and I'm going to show you a little trick. If you see these bolts here, this one here, obviously the intake has to come up. It's not going to go toward the firewall. It's not going to go toward the firewall because that bolt's going to prevent this from sliding that way. And you have two studs. Okay, you have two studs that go right here on the very top. Okay, one goes here and one goes here on the left side. So if the intake is attached to this, you obviously can't lift it up to accommodate this one from coming up, and you can't move it that way to get this stud out because that one's in the way. So I'm going to show you, if you don't know, how to remove this stud so you can free it up. And this way, with this stud being gone and this stud being gone, all you have to do is lift the intake up. But let me prepare this and I'll show you a quick trick how to remove these studs. Okay, and this is already taken off obviously, but with this stud in place here, it's going to be sticking out like that. Okay, so to take the intake, this has to go that way, but it's not going to because that stud is there preventing it from going that way. So to take this out, all you have to do, and I've got one already set up, so let me just switch them. When the stud is empty like this, you just have to screw a nut onto it like that. Okay, and tighten up a second nut on there. Okay, you want to put a let me get my other. Alright, so once you put the second nut on there, put one wrench on the bottom nut and one wrench on the top, and basically what you're going to do, you're going to tighten them together. So the top wrench is going to come, you're going to turn it up this way. The bottom wrench you're going to turn down, so you get a nice super tight fit right here. Once you do that, all you have to do is back out the bottom bolt or nut, turn it counterclockwise, and it'll turn the top one, and it'll also pull the stud out like that. Okay, and you do it on both sides. Do that on both sides, and once this stud is gone and that stud is gone, just lift up. You'll have to crack it with a pry bar or something. Just very careful. You can position a pry bar between here and here and just kind of move it around a little bit. You don't want to tap this with a hammer or anything. You end up breaking it, then you're fucked. So once all these back bolts are out, and you can take this out, and I'm going to tell you guys something I did. The owner didn't care about me doing this, but it is a fucking shortcut. There is the rectangular shaft that's under the intake crosses from here to there, and if you see this piece here, let me put some light on. There is a bracket. There's a bracket underneath the intake that has a screw right there. Okay, and you see that bracket with a cut on it? I stuck a sawzall and cut that off. If you don't do that, you're gonna have to lift the car up, go from underneath, possibly, no, you're gonna have to remove the starter. So that's why I cut it. I told the owner, and he said, man, go ahead. So I just cut it off, and because there's a bolt under there, one of those small 8mm bolts. I just cut that off, and that frees up the intake. You don't have to do that, but it saves a whole lot of time. But look, Now it's free. Okay, let me lift it up and give me a sec. All right, I've got everything that is attached to the intake. The hardest thing I found, the intake's already free. It's already free, look. Okay, it is out. So let me show you something. Under here, right here, okay, these two connections are water cooled. All right, this little son of a bitch is going to be the hardest one to get to. But here's the bracket that I cut. I'm just going to take this out and not even use it. It's of no fucking purpose. It's not going to hurt anything if it's not there. It'll be a pain in the ass to connect that back together again. So I'm going to show you these two connections, which were the hardest to get to. And they are it's going to be this water line. Okay, there it is. And see, here's a bracket that I cut with a Sawzall. You just have to be very careful, because if that wiring harness right there is very close to that. So if you use a Sawzall, extremely careful. And the other water line is this one down here. Okay, it wraps around. It's only about 8 inches, and it wraps behind under the idle control valve. The water cooled or supply lines, they come, here it is, okay, they come from underneath the, there you can see the two disconnects. So you can disconnect them here first and remove that, but I don't think that going underneath, having to remove the starter is worth doing. Just to have this bracket, and basically, I'm sorry, this bracket, because you already have this bracket holding it, and the hose clamps attached to the hose, so it's not going to serve any purpose if you eliminate that. I did, and I told the guy, and he was fine with it, so that'll save some time having to jack the car up. But this hose here, this water supply line that goes underneath the intake, this one right here, it goes underneath here. Right now that everything's open, replace it, and you can add a couple inches to it to make it easier to attach to the intake before you set it in place. This one here, replace it now. And there's another, here it is, this 4-inch hose goes right there. There's going to be several hoses, bypass hoses like this underneath here. Replace those, and here on the underside that feed into the intake, you can replace those right now. Any sensors, if you want to do it right now, it's a lot easier to do. And the one sensor you need to do is fuck, I can't get to it, is the PCV valve, because that those are known to cause problems with missing. But if you can see how clean those ports are, take a look at this one. See, that's the other side. Look how clean those are. But look over here. Look at that right there. I had a massive air leak. Or they did a massive air leak on this car. It missed real bad, misfiring, horrible performance, but there you go. Yeah, that's it. So I'm glad to have this son of a bitch out. There's a gasket kit you can buy to replace all these gaskets. But that is it, fellas. So I'm going to post a couple other things to this and start the install. We got to clean all this, vacuum it, clean all the old gasket, and here on the here on the intake side. Yeah, we're going to clean all this up and make it look real nice, bring this car back to life. I really think cutting that support helped the installation a lot, saved me a lot of time, and you're really not going to need it because, but I'm going to shut it down for the day, and I've got about 6.5 hours total time on here to tear out. So the reinstall is going to be a lot faster, but that's it for this. So I'll start the reinstall and we'll post this, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to post this first and deal with the reinstall later. Peace. Before you close up shop for the day, you know, cover all your ports. Be careful nothing gets in there. You'd hate to leave this a day or two, and you come back and you find out the fucking rat that's living in your intake. And talk about raining on your parade. That'll surely do it. So anyway, it's my last video on the disassembly. I'll see you guys shortly, but I'm going to post this, see if it helps anybody out to get ready for the disassembly. Peace out. Another thing you can do right now while it's disassembled is put these screws that I removed, put these back in their place right now so you don't have to mess with them when it's installed, because obviously they didn't do any purpose me taking them out. When I cut that bracket, that eliminated a whole lot of work. I wish I would have known that beforehand, but this is the first time I was messing with an Altima, but next time you know. But I'm going to go ahead and put these back. One less, because those were hard to take out, very time consuming, but that'll help the install process.